shut the WNBA down. Shut it down. Get these fake, phony activists out of the league. Get these holier-than-thou players out of the league. Shut it down and start it up from scratch.
Okay, this is wild.
The president of the WNBA Players Association just signed with a Saudi-backed league, while she's literally at the negotiating table for WNBA players. And what you just heard? That's not even the crazy part, because what's about to unfold exposes the biggest hypocrisy in women's basketball history. Everyone's talking about this signing, but they completely missed what it reveals about every activist statement, every social justice tweet, every "we stand for something" speech these players have been giving us for years. By the end of this, you'll understand why the entire foundation of the WNBA's moral authority just crumbled in real time.
We have Nneka Ogwumike signing with the new Project B League, the Saudi Event Group League, the league that Maverick Carter pulled out of league to rival the WNBA. She has officially signed with this league starting up in the winter of 2026. It's going to run from November to April 2026, heading into 2027.
So let me break this down for you. Nneka Ogwumike, not just any player, but the actual president of the Women's Basketball Players Association, just became the first confirmed signing for Project B. This is the new league backed by Saudi money through the Saudi Event Group. And here's where it gets insane. This league is launching in winter 2026, running November through April. You know who co-founded and co-owns Unrivaled, the other rival league? Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. These are the same players who've been preaching solidarity, talking about building something for the culture, standing up for women's rights. But hold up, there's something everyone missed in all the noise about this signing.
And during the season, we had people like Nafisa Collier tell us there's no conflict of interest going on. Folks, these players think we're foolish. These players think we can't follow the most basic of things.
Did you catch that? These players think we're foolish. And honestly, he's not wrong. Because during the season, Nafisa Collier stood in front of cameras and told everyone there's no conflict of interest with Unrivaled. Zero. None. Meanwhile, the Players Union president is about to negotiate your salary while she's got one foot out the door to a competing league. You're probably thinking this is just about money, right? Players getting paid, chasing bags, nothing new. Actually, scratch that. What's happening here reveals something way deeper about the performance these players have been putting on. And get this. Some of the WNBA's oldest, most loyal fans are just now waking up to what's been obvious this entire time.
Actually believed this activist crap that these players have been spewing since the start of the league. They actually thought these players were sincere in the words that they use and didn't understand it was just all an act. It is just all an act. We're gonna get to that momentarily, but let's go.
They actually thought these players were sincere. Let that sink in. For years, WNBA players positioned themselves as the most socially conscious athletes in sports. Every press conference, every Instagram post, every interview was about standing for something bigger than basketball. They talked about women's rights, LGBTQ+ advocacy, social justice, building generational wealth for female athletes. The messaging was relentless. We're different. We care. We're not like those sellout male athletes who chase money over morals. And millions of fans believed it. They defended these players online, bought jerseys, showed up to games, because they thought they were supporting something meaningful. But here's the kicker. It was all theater.
Shut it down. Shut this league down. Put all of us out of our misery. In an interview with the Associated Press, Ogwumike, 35, said the compensation package was key to her signing with Project B. Compensation package. Dollars, folks. Dollars. Money.
Compensation, paid dollars. Folks, dollars, money. Listen to how he emphasizes that. Because when you strip away all the activist language, all the empowerment talk, all the "we're building something for future generations" speeches, what's left? The exact same thing that drives every professional athlete: the bag. And there's nothing wrong with chasing money. Athletes have short careers. They should maximize earnings, but you can't spend years building a moral brand, positioning yourself as different from those greedy athletes, and then turn around and take Saudi money the second a bigger check appears. You know what's crazy? The mental gymnastics that's about to happen to justify this.
Athletes, Ogwumike said. So for there to be an entry level of equity across the board was eye-catching. It's something that I stand for, obviously. Ogwumike hopes the equity stake will be the standard for leagues going forward. You really think... What leagues? Startup leagues? Yeah, maybe startup leagues, just to try to fetch some real names. You think...
Okay, listen to what Nneka said in her interview with the Associated Press. It's not something that's usually offered to us, and by us, I mean women athletes. So to have an entry level of equity across the board was eye-catching. It's something I stand for, obviously. Did you catch that? She framed taking Saudi money as standing for something. The equity stake isn't just compensation. It's activism now. This is classic rebranding, and it's brilliant in how shameless it is. She's taking the exact thing that contradicts everything she's claimed to stand for, and packaging it as progressive. I stand for equity. Meanwhile, the league is backed by a country where women literally couldn't drive until 2018. But here's what that actually means for the WNBA.
Poland, she hasn't played overseas since 2019. Wait. Wait. Oh. Wait. Wasn't the idea of this new deal so they don't need to go and play to get additional money, that they would be fairly compensated so that they don't need to play year? Wait.
Now connect the dots. First, Unrivaled launched as the league that would keep players from having to tour overseas. The whole pitch was, you don't need to chase Russian or Turkish money anymore. We're building something here in America where you can stay home and get paid fairly. That was the narrative. Then Project B announces they're launching in Europe and Asia with Saudi backing. And immediately the WNBA Players Association president, the person negotiating on behalf of every player in the league, signs up. So what message does that send to the 9th, 10th, 11th player on WNBA rosters? The ones who aren't getting equity deals or international contracts. The ones depending on their union president to fight for their salaries.
Folks, you gotta laugh at this. You have to laugh at this. This shit makes me... Oh man, this shit's fucking funny. Oh, goodness gracious.
Hold up, did you hear what he just said? Wasn't the ideal of this new deal so they don't need to go and play to get additional money? This is the moment when the entire narrative collapses. Because you're right, that was literally the pitch. The WNBA players have been pushing for a new CBA with higher salaries and revenue sharing specifically so they wouldn't have to play year-round. They talked about rest, recovery, preventing injuries, having normal lives. Unrivaled was supposed to be the solution. A domestic league during the off-season with good pay. But now Project B is offering even more money. And suddenly playing year-round is back on the table. See what's happening here? The goalpost keeps moving based on whoever's writing the biggest check.
I gotta be honest here. Who in Asia and Europe, who fucking gives a shit that they're... Who gives a shit? Seriously. Have you guys seen these European League women's basketball games? Folks, you might have trouble finding more than 5 people showing up in attendance. Nobody shows up to these games because nobody cares over there. You think the demand is little over here. The demand, if demand is little over here, the demand is non-existent over there.
This shit makes me laugh. This shit's fucking funny. And honestly, you gotta laugh at the absurdity, because the contradiction is so blatant it's almost impressive. These players spent years building a narrative about fair compensation, about not being forced to play overseas, about prioritizing their well-being over money. Then the second a Saudi-backed league offers equity and higher salaries, all of that evaporates. And get this, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Nneka straight up said in her interview, "This is my chance to be able to maximize on the short time that I have in my playing career." Which again is completely reasonable, but it's the exact opposite of what these players have been saying publicly for years.
but she's at the negotiating table for the WNBA players in good faith. Man, get the fuck. Imagine being a player, a 9th, 10th, 11th man, and you got someone like this deciding your future. Yikes. LMFAO, activist league leaders taking that Saudi money. I never want to hear shit from them again. Why would you want to hear shit from them, period? Why would you want to hear it, period? That's the thing.
Let me tell you something about what's really happening behind the scenes. Project B isn't just another league. It's a direct threat to both the WNBA and Unrivaled. The league is planning an F1-style tournament format across cities in Europe and Asia, with each tournament crowning a champion and building toward a world championship. They're offering equity stakes to all 66 players they want to sign. And here's the thing nobody talks about. This completely fractures the already tiny talent pool in women's basketball. You've got the WNBA as the main league, Unrivaled as the domestic off-season league, and now Project B as the international winter league. The same players are going to be spread across all three, which means the quality of play in each league tanks. But wait, there's more to this.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my name. I'm gonna change it. It's gonna be Ben Daniels Project B Podcast. Yeah, easy, done. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. And there it is. And there, holla at your boy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I appreciate all of the support. I'm not getting any more of those $12 checks, folks. Saudi's coming with the bag. They're backing it up. Hey.
Listen to what he's saying about the European market. Have you guys seen these European League women's basket games? You might have trouble finding more than 5 people showing up in attendance. This is crucial context everyone's ignoring. Project B is banking on building audiences in Europe and Asia, but women's basketball has basically zero market penetration there. The attendance at European Women's League games is abysmal. The TV ratings are non-existent. So Project B's entire business model depends on creating demand where none currently exists. And they're trying to do this by throwing Saudi money at American players and hoping their names generate interest. What's even more insane is the timing of all this. Remember what I said earlier about Nneka being at the negotiating table? Here's why that's so potent. The WNBA and the Players Union are locked in tense CBA negotiations right now. The entire dispute centers on salary and revenue sharing. The players want a bigger cut. The league is pushing back. They just extended negotiations for another 30 days through November because both sides are far apart on terms. And in the middle of these negotiations, the union president announces she's signing with a competing league backed by foreign money. You can literally see the leverage shifting in real time. How does Nneka go into that negotiating room and argue for WNBA player salaries when she's already secured a better deal elsewhere? Check out these fan reactions, because this is where it gets really interesting. But she's at the negotiating table for the WNBA players in good faith? Man, get the fuck out of here. Imagine being a player, a 9th, 10th, 11th man, and you got someone like this deciding your future. That comment right there captures what so many people are feeling. Because if you're a role player making $70,000 in the WNBA with no endorsement deals and no international offers, your entire financial future depends on the union negotiating a better CBA. You need your union president fighting tooth and nail for higher minimum salaries, better benefits, actual revenue sharing. Instead, your union president just signed a deal with a rival league that gives her equity and a massive payday. What incentive does she have to fight hard for WNBA salaries now? And get this, another fan wrote, LMFAO activist league leaders taking that Saudi money. I never want to hear shit from them again. This is the breaking point moment. This is when years of carefully constructed messaging implodes. Because you can't position yourself as a social justice warrior, you can't tweet about human rights, you can't criticize other athletes for taking money from problematic sources, and then turn around and sign with a Saudi-backed league. Saudi Arabia's human rights record on women, LGBTQ+ individuals, and political dissidents is well documented. These are the same issues WNBA players have been vocal about for years. But apparently none of that matters when the check is big enough. The mental gymnastics required to justify this are Olympic level. On top of that, look at this comment. They're about to spread the talent so thin across all these leagues, none are going to be watchable. This is the business reality nobody wants to address. Women's basketball already has a viewership problem in the WNBA. The league's most watched regular season game this year drew 2.3 million viewers, and that was only because of Caitlin Clark. Most games get under 500,000 viewers. The talent pool in women's basketball isn't deep enough to support one elite league, let alone 3 competing leagues running simultaneously. When you split the top 66 players across WNBA, Unrivaled, and Project B, you dilute the product everywhere. Each league becomes less competitive, less interesting, less watchable. But here's what blows my mind about all this. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. Nneka and other players will do press tours explaining how Project B is actually good for women's basketball. They'll talk about creating opportunities, building global markets, and empowering female athletes. They'll frame Saudi investment as progressive because it's putting money into women's sports. And some people will buy it because that's how effective the messaging has been. These players spent years building trust with fans who genuinely believed they stood for something beyond basketball. Now they're cashing in on that trust by repackaging obvious hypocrisy as activism. It's brilliant marketing, honestly. Morally bankrupt, but brilliant. Meanwhile, the WNBA is watching its leverage evaporate. Think about the negotiating position the league is in now. Players can point to Unrivaled and Project B as alternatives and say, pay us more or we'll play elsewhere. But here's the thing. The WNBA is already losing money. The league has never been profitable in its 28-year history. It survives because the NBA subsidizes it. So when players demand higher salaries and revenue sharing, the WNBA can legitimately say, what revenue? The league doesn't generate enough money to pay players NBA-level salaries. But now, with Saudi money flooding into competing leagues, the WNBA is forced to either match offers it can't afford or watch its talent leave. It's an impossible situation. And if that wasn't enough, remember what he said earlier about starting fresh. Shut it down and start it all up from scratch. Start with Caitlin. Start over with Angel. Start over with Asia. Start over with Sabrina. But all these old players, all these brainwashed players, get them out of this league and start over fresh. That's not just random anger. That's a sentiment growing among casual fans. Because here's what the WNBA's old guard doesn't understand. The league's recent growth came from new fans attracted by young stars like Caitlin Clark, not from the activism of veteran players. Those new fans don't care about the social justice messaging. They want to watch good basketball. And when they see players like Nneka prioritizing Saudi money over the league, it confirms every criticism about the WNBA being more focused on activism than athletics. The crazy part is how predictable this all was. Anyone paying attention saw this coming the moment Unrivaled launched. You can't have players who are also league owners negotiating against the WNBA without massive conflicts of interest. You can't have a union president signing with a rival league and expect her to fight hard for WNBA salaries. You can't preach about social justice while taking money from Saudi Arabia and maintain credibility. But they did it anyway, because they assumed fans would either not notice or not care. And for the most loyal WNBA fans, the ones who've been supporting the league for years, this is a rude awakening. They're realizing the players they defended, the activism they championed, the moral superiority they believed in. It was all performance. Did you hear that? You literally did a fake phone call with Saudi investors, joking about them paying him $300,000 per podcast to cover Project B. Yeah, I'm gonna change my name. It's gonna be Ben Daniels Project B Podcast.